manganese, and other ions. There's 12 mineral salts or ions that the kidneys work to regulate, and I can't say enough about how complex all of this stuff is. They have all these tubes, millions of tubes that are only the diameter of certain cell sizes, and so they're constantly judging the nature of the blood plasma, and so in that, in this regulation, they've got the adrenal glands, and the kidneys are actually glands, and they secrete these liquid hormones. They're part of the endocrine system, which I keep saying is the liquid brain. That's all we need to know. It's the liquid brain. It's, instead of light signals along a light pathway, it's biochemicals that are being secreted that go and communicate to all the cells of the body or other endocrine glandular cells to do this or that. It's very, very complex. Western science knows a lot, and yet they don't even know just the smallest amount. I heard a scientist finally admit they know like 1/300 trillionth of the knowledge that is really what makes up the universe. 1/300 trillionth.
Wow.
Is, and they're putting men on the moon with that knowledge, and yet it's from their perspective. Anyway, the kidneys regulate blood volumes and blood pressures by adjusting the volume of water secreted from the urine. That thing right there is infinitely complex, but it's all taken care of automatically on a plant-based diet. Depending on what's causing the changes in volume and pressure, the kidneys will also secrete two hormones, that I won't say the names of because they're hard to pronounce, that help in that process. And this influence that it does of stabilizing the acid-alkali balance in the blood.
We were talking about that, the acid-alkaline balance in the blood.
That's known as your pH. So,
your pH?
Yeah, so, if kidneys were his issue, then a plant-based diet is really the only way to go. Now, in terms of regulating blood pressure, if he's got obstructions in there, there's very specific herbs that you can take in a tea form that will help dissolve. Dissolve out stones, because red meat's known to create stones in the kidneys. Chocolate, Western kinds of chocolate do that.
Sugar. Oh my goodness.
Well, refined sugar. You got to be careful. They do a lot of crazy things to this stuff before it's put into a candy bar. Coffee causes kidney stones to form, and then the worst is dairy. The 80% of the stones in people's kidneys are calcium. Calcium something
deposits, right?
Yeah, calcium deposits, and that's coming from all that milk and dairy that has all that another animal's calcium. Anyway.
Well, I just want to share that when you were sharing that with me so many years ago, and I loved my cheese, and we all have our things that, I can never give that up. And at that time, you really got through to me, and you'd say, well, follow your appetite. That's what I loved about you, and I love that because you're not here to anything. You're just sharing with us, that this is. And so I would look at cheese, and I would look at, what the substance of it is, and I would think about how it comes together, and I would see it as how it could get into every part of me as a clog, literally clogging up my veins, my everything. You know what I'm saying? Block my passages.
Yeah.
And then you shared with me how they can get calcified, and just not only that, but then I had sugar. You add all of that ingredients, and what do you get?
Yeah.
right?
Trouble.
Yeah. It's the sad menu, as I was sharing earlier.
You know, in the book, I share a perspective from the traditional Chinese medicine model. Yes. You know, where in the West we're very mechanical. In China, the influence of the kidneys, adrenals expands into this idea that they're the roots and foundation for the entire body. The roots and the foundation for the entire body. I actually got a picture of how the blood feeds the body, and it looks like a bunch of roots going into these two, bean-shaped organs. Mm-hmm. From the traditional Chinese medicine model, it says the kidneys will oversee the lower portions of the body that includes the sexual organs and the reproductive system. So there's a lot of other things a person can see in this. In addition, the kidneys provide energy and warmth. In the Chinese medicine model, they call it the palace of fire and water, and as a part of this kidney adrenal system, the adrenal glands produce and contribute to the sexuality, energy, and warmth of being human. So there's an author that I loved his book. It's like 700 plus pages, like this encyclopedia. His name's Paul Pitchford.
Oh yeah, Paul.
Healing with Whole Foods.
Right.
Oriental.
I like him too.
Yeah, something like Oriental Traditions. And
which you met him,
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
Keep going about the kidneys.
Oriental Traditions and Modern Nutrition is the title to his book. Healing with Whole Foods by author Paul Pitchford. I don't know if it's still in print or not, but he says in that book, all bone problems, especially those of the knees, lower back, and teeth, indicate, problems with your kidneys. Hearing loss, ear infections or diseases, head hair problems such as hair loss, split ends, and premature graying, any urinary, sexual, or reproductive imbalances, poor growth and development of the mind and body, plus premature aging, excessive fear and insecurity. Those are like things we can look at inside ourselves and not become hypochondriacs, but start to see that we've got compromised organs from this lifestyle of ignorance in what we're consuming, that we could just very easily get the knowledge and start to correct. But without the knowledge, we're just left in the dark, because the Western medicine model will never share this stuff with you. That was one of the things that our friend, the retired coal miner, shared.
Oh, yes.
He's had his gallbladder cut out, and I'm going to share his story, his further story in the next program of the Human Accelerator. But he did this, what I call herbal surgery. Over a weekend, he took these simple ingredients and got his liver to start expelling the buildup of cholesterol rock that's in there. I don't know what else to call it, just these little green rocks that are this sticky animal fat that gets clogged up everywhere in our body, but most importantly in the liver. So anyway, when someone goes into this Western medicine model and uses it to their advantage, that's great. To go in there and just turn yourself over is just a total nightmare. And I'm really happy to hear Logan's story, that he's not just bought into, you've got to get on the list of whatever 18,000 plus people waiting to get.
It's very heartwarming. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask you a question. So your show will be on Tuesdays now for the next for a while, these new segments that you're doing. And so we can catch you on Tuesdays, right? The Human Accelerator radio show with Dream Vision, Sustainability.
Yeah, it's at noon and midnight every Tuesday that it broadcasts. But I'm doing a 4-part series on this January issue that just came out of National Geographic, where it's called The Future of Medicine, and as far as I'm concerned, it's just all bought and paid for propaganda from the Western medicine model, from pharmaceuticals, especially pharmaceuticals that are now calling themselves biopharmaceuticals, which is a total lie. Absolutely a total lie.
So you can tune in to hear that now, and we'll have the Second Genesis radio show with me and Adam and our guests, and we're so happy that you joined us today. And Adam, thank you so much for sharing your family with me, which I get to be invited to these wonderful times of sharing and your love. So anyway, again, you can catch Adam. It'll be playing on the Human Accelerator radio shows. That is 12 p.m., 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then catch our show and here on Dream Vision 7 Radio. And I'm your host, Deborah Boone Townton. Thank you so much for joining us, and it's a pleasure to be with you again, Adam, and with Logan.
Join us next time as the Second Genesis Awakening unfolds further mysteries into how our lives can be transformed through ancient insights and modern understandings of how the universe works upon us and within us.
Now remember, the show broadcasts every Monday on DreamVision7Radio.com at 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In the meantime, you can catch me on my website anytime. CallInAllAngels.com. I've written a number of songs, and they're available for download on my website. That's CallInAllAngels.com.
The Second Genesis Awakening has been a production of the HumanAccelerator.org, your we community, working to build America's medicine wheels.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.